This video is intended to describe a lightblade wand named Deliverance. I will go ahead and start off with the main blade banding, or the scaffolding if you would, as a preliminary for the rest of the descriptions, which will be quite fast, as a quick preface. So I'll be starting off with the transmutation blade band ratio. So the combination of hematite and smoky quartz in ignition sequence seen right here will actually continue underneath this section of the leather handle, the green ray, going to this lateral band, and will actually recirculate underneath here to this lateral band once again. Then, of course, to the main engine band. This section right here will, of course, be, once again, smoky quartz and hematite in ignition sequence, like so, running up here into the primary blade band. Before I jump any further, I'll describe the criticality of the aspect of the transmutation blade band ratio sequence. And this will be my crude chakra map I'll be employing that's been well utilized and probably over-explained, hence its rips, but it will still serve its purpose. The transmutation blade band ratio, consisting of hematite, makes a very strong iron-based grounding of all excess energies through the root, into the earth stars, and into the earth star meridian matrix for two-way reprocessing. The smoky quartz, of course, complementarily governs the same frequency bandwidth to purify all excess negativity internally, externally, to, once again, just like that guy, work to ground all excess energy through the root into the earth stars and into the earth star meridian matrix reprocessing. So naturally, these two in tandem work as a fantastic team to make basically an insulation etheric Teflon field so that no negativity can really stick into the internal, external parameters. We're talking all the bodies, of course, of mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, simultaneously to make a harmonious grounding point. And, of course, in another preliminary aspect, too, is when I divulge and discuss the composition of this entire high-frequency broadcasting device, this will serve as the aspect to actually ground as much as possible all this high-frequency energy into the comfortability and containment into the earth plane, to ensure the maximum effectivity and tangibility of such an exotic high-frequency green ray platform. So that would be the transmutation blade band. Okay, since I'm discussing the primary blade band, I'll be discussing that next in great detail. Starting off right here, there is prehnite, a fantastic green ray stone, which actually I'll get into more after I describe its mechanism, with the clear quartz small bead right here to work as a neutral programmable carrier accelerant of this energy through this entire primary blade band circuit to close the circuit with the transmutation blade band seen right here grounded into this part of this structure. And to, of course, clear quartz in that aspect, which I'll describe down here with the Lemurian clear quartz, serves as a very neutral program carrier. So of course the idyllic aspect of clear quartz in any light tech would be the utilization of the consciousness assisted technology of the prayers of the wielders of the device's recipient, and to harmonize with their higher self resonant into a tangibility of a focused format of a high frequency wand of theurgy. That's enough digression about clear quartz. I'll get back to the prehnite, because this will actually probably take a while to describe the scope and scale of this amazing wonder of the green ray in the mineral kingdom. Prehnite is an amazing earth and water frequency soother, so it has a strong stimulation to the third and fourth chakras, and its lore is quite notarized for being a very prominent stone that heals the healers for a very good reason that will, of course, unveil itself as I get more specific and mechanical and technical in its vibratory structure. So by having the earth aspect being a very powerful grounder of energy and to insulate the field, and having the water to basically work as an idyllic frequency broadband between the third and fourth, puts one's heart's will in the divine focus of the dominant vibration when this guy is in play, which is very advantageous for any being of a light worker or a being of source so to speak, to have the connotation of putting source in sorcery by connecting the heart to the emanations of source, which will, of course, have many different complementary nodes to ensure that capacity of alignment to make it idyllic spiritual. So prehnite is an amazing healing stone for the heart, to put it into a very idyllic frequency state in alignment with one's highest blueprint. Because also, prehnite is a fantastic stone that heals the healers. There's a legendary connotation associated with the prehnite frequency, and its metaphysical scope and scale is actually quite vast, but I will keep it relatively consolidated for this video's sake. And so, the prehnite aspect also, in my humble opinion, is the most idyllic template to the analog frequency of the Raphael Archangel Force, the green ray seraphim close to Source, who is known as the master healer in the Archangel Seraphim realm. So naturally, having the frequency natural analog alignment to such a vast power of close to creation of the Archangel sphere of healing is self-evidently rather advantageous. So that's exactly why this would be the primary blade band focus, like so with the prehnite, the clear quartz prehnite, and then it circulates back into the transmutation blade band, grounded in there, to further ground and purify and transmute all the excess energy, in a much like a figure 8 circuit, which of course is like at infinity. And so prehnite is an amazing healing stone that really also amplifies the broadcast of one's heart in connection to creation, to put one's heart's will in the dominant vibration, to be in that alignment. An amazing stone for soothing past wounds, for exactly that reason, and to let go of things that no longer serve. Hence, the aspect of the archetypal name deliverance is, of course, designed to be a very powerful frequency tool of deliverance from any kind of pre-existing limiting life patterns in any way, shape, or form, and a very conclusive green ray heart-centered device of high love and high connectivity to source healing. So that after that mouthful, I'll get straight into the engine. Before actually I'll do so, I'll go ahead and hop onto this guy. So the reason I'm bringing this up next is very complementary to the primary green ray focus, is a augmented love currency coin minted by the wonderful Wizard of Sedona, Stephen Ross, who I've had the privilege of actually augmenting a good few of these coins now. And so this is another foray in the augmentation of this lovely, amazing archetypal coin that's quite simply, in my humble opinion, priceless spiritual information or knowledge and wisdom, so to speak, literally minted on a coin. With the aspects of everything with love, in love, and through love, it's self-evidently impeccable. Then the aspect too of a beautiful heart, an open mind, and a humble spirit. With that trifecta, that's truly the ideal configuration, and to throw academic jargon into the mix on like such a amazing, beautiful thing. And so naturally, this will actually be eventually grounded in here with this white leather hood installed above the engine section, like so. So this guy will eventually be grounded into this first lateral band, then to the transmutation lateral band right here, which of course will ground it through the entire primary matrix of the blade banding. And the aspect too of the coin, I'll go ahead and stay focused on the vibratory connotation importance of such a structure. It's another foray into an exotic green ray centrifugal closed loop circuit, like so, designed once video is concluded and this white leather is cut to proper size to be the insulation, color therapy, and the subtle protection of all these stones terminated for the main engine section. That's of course a quick description of and also, since I'm at it, the white ray right here, of course, the diffusion of the 7 rays in unison. Hence the white is critical to have next to the clear quartz main engine, to have the 7 rays be the natural background diffuser of the energy current running through the device. Okay, that's enough digression about the hypothetical hood that will be installed soon enough. I'll get back to this guy. And like I digressed earlier, this is a very complementary centrifugal closed-looped circular circuit to the primary blade band that will be described right now. So just like prehnite, peridot is a wonderful stimulant to the 3rd and 4th chakras, and you can think of this frequency being much like vibrational chlorophyll, with that particular frequency of growth, which is a very positive, lovely sensation that dramatically also clears any blockages from the heart as well as the receptivity from the universe, which of course is critical for light workers because, being a sorcerer, it's our sponsorship is from Source, and so yeah. Anyway, and it makes a lovely stone for frequency of increase of abundance or any kind of healing endeavors, growing a spiritual business, for example, or even gardening. Get a great boon and benefit from this lovely green ray nugget of positivity. Then, just like the prior blade band up here, I'm utilizing clear quartz small round to be the neutral programmable subcapacitator of this circuit to carry the neutral energy through the circuit like so. Then going into the lovely stabilized moss green agate. Moss green agate has a lovely stabilization of the heart chakra, which is very advantageous when the heart is stabilized. Of course, it has the opportunity to stabilize to its etheric blueprint template in an idyllic state, as well as, of course, the heart chakra governs the aspect of the physical heart. That, of course, is our cardiovascular circulatory system. So whatever energy runs through that octave, of course, circulates through our entire system, hence blood is life, and that's a great way to stabilize the ideal heart configuration for the circulation of the system. Then going into clear quartz, then into zoisite. Zoisite is a lovely heart-mind coherence engagement frequency. A larger dose of it actually has been employed right here behind the main engine or heart of the device, which I'll get into, of course, later, but for the bulk of it, zoisite is an amazing heart-mind coherence engager. So then going into clear quartz, then into the lovely, famous, and legendary emerald, the king and queen of the green ray octave as far as humanity is concerned. Emerald is an impeccable barrel, 8.5 out of 10 hardness, so it has a very strong, intense atomical structure that makes a strong vibration of the idyllic heart chakra of the green ray, which is our idyllic abundance reception frequency. Hence, its legendary use of being in a stone of abundance is well notarized throughout human history in royalties, and it's a true precious stone for that reason. Then going to clear quartz and peridot, then so on, like that sequence goes like so before I run out of room and reground it into the circuit to make the closed loop exotic green ray centrifugal circuit generator, which will eventually be installed here. So the idea too, of course, with that stimulation is to peridot, stimulate those two, stabilize, then into zoisite to stabilize heart and mind, then emerald to have the idyllic green ray in a strong dose, makes a very prominent idyllic ignition sequence for the perfected heart chakra sequence in a circle. On a lovely archetypal timeless message that is a great honor to add any vibrational augmentation to something so beautiful, simple, and true. So this guy, once all said and done, and the hood is installed after this video is concluded, will be actually grounded into this lateral band, into this transmutation blade band to further ground this frequency throughout the entire structure. Kind of like so. This will be grounded right here. This will be grounded here so that the entirety of this circulatory current will, of course, run through this whole section as it completes its sequence of engagement, which will be rather lovely advantageous. So before I go any further in the engine, I'll describe the first lateral band at the very apex of the engine, of its prominent critical utilization. So this right here is the lovely, amazing golden healer quartz. A larger piece has been employed on the blade face up here for a very distinct purpose as well. Golden Healer Quartz is an amazing gold white light frequency Christ emanation engagement resonant device, which of course activates the high heart to the spiritual source connotation contact patch. That by itself is self-evidently, quite amazing and awesome. So then using that as a subcapacitation between the lovely, legendary, and thank goodness rather common rose quartz, igniting like so, with the pink ray further augmenting the divine love higher heart receptivity, is a lovely pink ray, gold ray, advantageous complementary frequency to all the green ray aspects of this device. So you can think of this being a very prominent, hits all octaves of the heart chakra range, high, physical, terrestrial, physical simultaneously for an idyllic template. That would be a very conducive to honoring its name of deliverance from any kind of pre-existing aspects of divisiatory natures, I guess to put it lightly, and to deliver one very smooth and comfortable as possible into their highest source heart divine idyllic state. That is, in the summary, the entirety of this device at face value, its intention at least, of its crystal ignition order. So these guys will make a very lovely further augmentation of the gold white light Christ frequency love ratio, like so, and then having this exotic green ray augmented love currency device through this circuit, then through this circuit, will make a very powerful stimulation of the heart in all spectrums possible. It's definitely going to be quite the heart mender, quite simply, to put it like in almost another archetypal name it could have been sired under. But okay, that's enough digressions on that, I'd say. So, the main engine right here is clear Lemurian quartz, which is my idyllic favorite preferred neutral program carrier heart of any lightblade wand, because obviously Lemurian connection, old world concept, and also they're very beautiful, lovely, clean, resonant quartz structures that really hold a charge or intention for an entirety of a chassis or a structure of a platform. Very nice and smooth. So that'd be the clear quartz, Lemurian. Then right here, to accelerate the entirety of the broadband of this healing potentiality, is a large piece of rutilated quartz, which is like basically bolting on a turbo supercharger to the entire frequency of what bands of rutile, or like titanium, are in the structure to really intensify and sizzle the entire operating system, everything discussed. So as a preface, and this may be self-evident when I say this, that all these other frequencies discussed here on out will be pinging off each other, running through a closed loop circuit of the primary wire like so. So they all play off each other for one vibratory resonance of the device named deliverance. So by taking this supercharging aspect of intensification throughout the entirety of the main engine, of course runs the circuit through the entirety of the broadcast network that this guy is designed to emanate and vibrate at. Then above that, to be a complementary, another quartz that's augmented by natural synchronicity with tourmaline in it. Tourmalated quartz is an amazing clear quartz with black tourmaline through it. So just like I've mentioned quartz before being a neutral amplifier or whatever frequencies are running through it or around it, having black tourmaline in the matrix makes a lovely purification intensification, which is another one of those self-advantageous, self-evident advantageous aspects of the construct. So, by having black tourmaline being another, just like the smoky quartz is an example, being another purification grounder of negativity into positivity, you can think of that almost like being like an intensification of this kind of frequency, particularly when it's basically butted up and subcapacitated right here by the rooted quartz to accelerate them in tandem. Is by design, not just by whim. And to really intensify the purification possibility is what the prerogative is here. And yes, that's enough about that. Then to further intensify everything is the lovely fulgurite. This is actually the product of lightning striking sand, holding the energy of lightning in a crystalline structure, which is a very powerful force indeed. Lightning is very useful for, or fulgurite I should say, for stimulation of the entire chakric column as a unified whole. So the power of lightning makes a very strong stimulant to like the entirety of the vibrational sphere as a whole. And also in First Nation utilization of shamans and medicine women is also utilized to be an intensification of one's prayer by intensifying the power of lightning back to spirit. So it's also a great augmentation for aspects of manifestation and prayers intensified. Then down here at the, I'm going to go over here first, then I'll describe these guys in sequence. This, just like described on the Love Currency Augmentation Medallion, is zoisite, but this guy has a little bit more ruby in it. So zoisite, like I mentioned, is a heart-mind coherence engager. Then the lovely red ray wonder of the mineral kingdom, ruby, is a strong stimulant to the base chakra. It is the idyllic red ray root chakra, and it's a very powerful combination with the heart-mind coherence and the base. So it gives you like passion for life, gusto, you know, the in-the-body experience in tandem with the heart-mind coherence. So it makes a very powerful trifecta of one's idyllic template coming into view very tangibly, very obviously. Hence, the entire prerogative of this device is for tangibility and to make beneficent, obvious shifts towards the greatest good of creation. Okay. So down here is a very large dose of the same frequency of prehnite to be like the antithesis of the main blade band in a more concentrated dose in tandem next to the tourmalated quartz to accelerate that frequency through the, yeah, you get it. They're all close together, so all frequencies ping off each other. But the placement right here is a direct termination to a neutral carrier of quartz to really intensify that particular dominant vibration. Then down here, this guy actually is the lovely, legendary, and another criminally underrated stone in the Mineral Kingdom, Prophecy Stone. This actually comes from Egypt, from a remote section, and the reason its name is Prophecy Stone is the rock hound out there looking for rocks. He touched this thing and he had a prophetic vision. Hence, he dubbed it, he found it, and named it Prophecy Stone. So its connotations of being an iron-based pseudomorphite, as they call it, kind of like almost like a hematite, but not quite, actually has certain metallurgists quite stumped on its true elemental composition, which means it actually might be an alien metal that's not in our periodic table. Fun fact. Hence its prophetic capacity to mostly ground high-frequency energy through the body very effectively, but also activating the prophetic capacities of clairvoyance, which the recipient of this device is already has a very advanced operating system in clairvoyance, so that could be a little interesting dose in tandem with this to ensure like the highest contact patch of the information through the heart's lens will be further augmented. Might be one of those divine conspiracies. Okay, so down here, next to the prophecy stone going straight into this guy is the rather critical component of smoky celestial quartz. Smoky quartz, like described in the blade band, of course, makes the purification ground, the whole shtick. But the celestial format makes a lovely higher self template regulator. So you can think of like the celestial quartz being a very auto-reactive, based on the higher self schematic interlocking with the conscious self to make also a regulator or a dimmer switch to govern the amount of frequency the recipient requires for any given situation. So you can think of that as being a very auto-reactive frequency buffer. So let's say the recipient is either on a Zoom call or a healing thing, and basically this guy will amp up to kind of be in the background to be a perfect frequency pitch she requires as an ally to hopefully get the spiritual job done. Then if they're out for a walk, this will actually take the frequency pitch and slow down the entire algorithm, or basically it just makes it emanate at the idyllic pitch that is required in a situational context. Long story short. At the very, very tip also right here is the lovely master healer Star Argonite. Star Argonite is a calcium-based stone that is amazing for clearing the entire light body stimulation from the feet to the head, everything in between all at once. So it's a very, very lovely light body stimulant, as well as being a calcite, makes very gentle but rapid clearings of any impediments through the entire chakra column. So that's one of those master healers in the mineral kingdom, hence its criticality is being very well notarized, because it'll make sense how it, of course, works in tandem with everything else described thus far, and further to be discussed, of its master healing capacity to guide the energy throughout the entire chakra meridian matrix to an ideal configuration and clear anything that is not of the highest configuration in a very lovely manner. Also, since it's a calcium-based stone, also it has a very strong stimulation of strengthening the bones, which is our most dense physical scaffolding of a human avatar. So having the atomical structure being augmented through the bones is a surefire way to really ensure the scaffolding has a strong radiation of the skeletal structure to, of course, emanate outwards to the in or out light kind of thing. Anyhow. So I'll be discussing the agates and the jaspers in one section, so they has more context to their critical nature of a functional light tech device. So with all these things going on, having the aspects of stabilization is quite critical in the endeavor of comfortability and practicality of this kind of magic, so to speak, or this kind of theoretical vibratory device broadcaster. Starting off with red jasper, the stabilizer of the red ray earth elemental stone. An amazing stone actually I utilize nearly on a daily basis right here to really ensure my stabilized root is ensured the contact patch is always stabilized. So having a stabilized base chakra is very much a stabilized foundation. So it's quite an underrated stone in my humble opinion due to its just pure, non-invasive background stabilization frequency. So that'd be the earth. Then going into fire agate, the most stabilized fire energy in the mineral kingdom, stabilizing the base, sacrum, and solar plexus, making a lovely stabilization lower 3, which of course is our foundational structure. So anything of higher frequency knowledge, of course, can really dysregulate the lower 3. So that guy is a contingency for the in-the-body zest for life experience to really stabilize lower 3 chakras. Then going into moss green agate, just like described in the augmented love currency coin, a stabilization of the 4th chakra, water. Then going into this guy right here, hence its appearance will of course be visible once the hood is installed for a very good reason, because this blade essentially is going to a really proficient spiritual counselor in a very simplistic way to put it, but I won't go into detail to keep anonymity. But having this blue lace agate, the stabilization of the 5th chakra of the water element, is a very advantageous aspect for any kind of teachers and counselors. Hence its utilization for most light workers I have the privilege of bestowing this tech upon is always a critical conjunction for that purpose of stabilizing the 5th chakra of one's highest wisdom into reality for as I have a 5th attack, clear my throat, to ensure the highest wisdom is always stably governed through the system and spoken out for the benefit of those under their jurisdiction. So this is quite an amazing stone, and hence it's the completion of the stabilization for this circuit. Then we have a lovely little red rock from Sedona, Arizona, lovely grounding frequency iron-based stone. Then going into black tektite. Black tektite is an amazing product of a nickel iron meteorite, oftentimes landing somewhere usually in Asia. That is an impact from a meteorite hitting the sand, so it carries that energetic jolt of that extraterrestrial entry into the Earth plane. So it basically is kind of like space obsidian. It's made from a lot of heat and pressure from a very explosive impact, so it mimics that frequency in the structure. So since it's a black gray stone, it makes a very powerful stimulation to the earth stars, the chakras beneath the feet, straight into the base, and a full light body stimulation, which is very, very advantageous for a black ray ground up frequency augmentation, intensification, if you would. That is very useful for the entirety of the light blade's potency to further carry all these other currents through the entire chakra column. My goodness, I think that's finally just the main engine. Like I've discussed, the transmutation blade band seen right here runs up both sides right here on the brass and silver polarity for the intake, output, positive, negative, yin, yang, perfect antithesis frequency to ensure the grounding of all this energy has a very nice balanced stimulation to the receptive, projective aspects of the auric field. That's always why the transmutation blade band ratio on all devices always have that duality to ensure the contact patch of that grounding of this energy is very well diffused and balanced. Alrighty, so I'll get straight into the blade face right here to keep things a little more relevant with something I'll trace back to. Golden Healer Quartz, like I mentioned right here, the amazing gold white light source Christ frequency high heart stimulant broadcast aligner. Amazing, because that's just another dose of true source connection, which is obviously self-evidently tremendously effective and important in a closed-loop circuit vibratory device. And then going into the lovely Seraphim, the Green Ray Master Healer that I consider one of my top 5 favorite stones, if I dare say, due to its sheer beauty and its metaphysical application and harmonious, amazing seraphic resonance. So, just like the Star Argonite mentioned down here, it is a master healer that is obviously green ray connotation. So obviously the green ray heart chakra stimulation is paramount in that capacity. But it actually stimulates the entire chakra column from top to bottom in a very soothing, graceful, healing, nourishing way. And is one of the best stones in the mineral kingdom in this timeline to really dismantle patterns of dis-ease. Either mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, all the simultaneous bodies get rapidly. You can think of it as like fertilizer to really accelerate the perfect projection of glowing health by dismantling any kind of divisitory patterns from top to bottom that would be impeding the full light body manifestation of the conscious self, which of course is the contributing factor, the culprit to many dis-eases we see in this timeline. So that seraphic frequency, of course, aligns the frequency of this device to the Seraphim Archangel realm. Hence it got its name, not by coincidence, but by resonant providence. So, naturally, that kind of seraphic connotation goes very lovely in harmony with the primary focus of the prenite, and like I've mentioned, my humble opinion, the analog perfected frequency of the Raphael force, close to source. So, carrying that current of the full I Am template is a very powerful Kundalini stimulant in a very gentle, smooth way. Not like a janky Kundalini activation where it feels like you're burning up, but it's a very smooth, high frequency capacity, as well as an emotional body soother that really works very well to dismantle any patterns of dis-ease and provide elasticity to the emotional body's reactions, particularly in like high stress drama cohesions. So its metaphysical applications are ridiculously advantageous, to put it lightly. And so its use in a prominent size on the blade face, like right there front and center, that will not be concealed by the hood, was of the essence for the successful aspect of deliverance. To deliver from old timelines, from old wounds, old past, old things that are stagnant, that are impeding one's highest miracle timeline, intangibility, and connection and creation, is this guy's rather dramatic there, but yes, this is kind of an answer to that. So, I'll be moving on to the primary thumb engagement, like seen so. I'm going to ask my coffee cup to give me assistance by propping it up properly. Okay, so the main core of this power pack that's been ground into the structure is actually quartzite. It's mostly quartz with a little bit of calcite, and a very fun fact is that the recipient of this device, actually this comes from her property. I had the privilege of being in Arizona, and I was able to go on the property while I was in town visiting, and this is what I found on my journeys in her backyard. So, naturally I found that, and by the time I was requested to develop this blade, I just said, oh, well, I have the perfect incorporation for this device in the future, which is obviously becoming the present. And it works as a lovely, neutral, clear quartz, but what's fun about that, though, is it's a natural locality of exactly the frequency that's perhaps been there for maybe thousands of years in Arizona, where this came from. So it has a very nice contact patch with that section of the land. Fun story. Also, it looks like a triangle. Trifecta of the three, that's kind of nice. That's enough digression about the core of that, just kind of a funny little shout out. At the heart of this quartzite right here is the legendary moldavite. It shouldn't require too much introduction for this video for any metaphysical crystal enthusiast who perhaps could be watching this, but moldavite is an amazing dharmic accelerant of the green ray with basically unsurpassed potency. Hence, it's gained quite the notoriety for being quite infamous of really shaking one's life up, because It's rather turbulent in its alignment to the green ray, to one's heart, into the connection of creation. So, what that means is that any kind of false self matrix playing out that is not of one's highest absolute dharmic path get rapidly dissolved from the reality internally and externally. And so it's been, of course, cautioned to be a stone not for the faint of heart in spiritual exploration and alchemy. So a small little dose with all this soothingness will be another big boost of the green ray augmentation, but in a very small dose, so it kind of course, is well contained, well stabilized, well grounded, and buffered to get the most out of that cosmic alignment without the discomforting side effects, to put it lightly. That's been the bane of many's life. That, of course, is quite famous on social media, as well as my own personal experience of individuals wielding straight moldavite without any governing. It can be rather volatile. I shouldn't laugh because it just it's quite intense to see sometimes the manifestations of that frequency. But I digress as usual in these videos, and that's a small dose of the cosmic wonder that's moldavite, the ultimate stone of synchronicity, magic, and one's highest grail template manifest in tangibility. And to further augment that power pack around this central core is the lovely green turquoise. So of course it's a little more green than blue, hence it's iron oxidization opposed to copper. Copper makes it more blue, kind of like, yep, see that blue right there? That'd be Sleeping Beauty blue, which is more copper. More robin's egg blue. This would be more iron, closer to Kingman turquoise. So, with more iron than copper, of course, brings another grounding connotation, hence the color ray looks like it's more green than blue, which is along the theme of a green ray broadcasting device. Then going into clear quartz, like I mentioned thrice more times now, a neutral subcapacitator, into once again moss green agate to further stabilize the green ray heart chakra receptivity. Stabilization is quite key in these high frequency devices, so its representation in a trifecta was very well warranted. Then going into clear quartz once again, then going into the legendary emerald, the king of the green ray, heart stones. So that guy closes that nice circuit for the thumb engagement to engage the thumb like so on the device. Thank you, coffee cup. Okay. So, with all this frequency running in a figure 8, these guys would be the focalizer crystals to be the directional governance of the frequency. For example, if I ground it right here at my tree buddy in my backyard, can't quite see from this video, but this is a direct ground of that frequency, takes the entire figure 8 pitch you see thus far discussed and gives it a focus or a focalizer crystal setup. So these guys at the back right here would be titanium aura quartz. That is clear quartz pressure bonded with titanium, which gives it a lovely iridescent hue. But more importantly than that, for me obviously, is the aspect of its metaphysical connotations. Obviously it's a man-made alchemical stone from this modern timeline. I believe it was first crafted sometime in the 80s, and it's been quite the metaphysical boon. And so an application in the structure device has been rather foundational with these guys for this fact. Titanium, through a neutral accelerator of quartz, makes a lovely stimulation of the entire rainbow light body in unison by really strengthening the field when engaged. Also makes it more difficult for weaker frequencies to shift that vibration when these guys are installed. So of course carries the pathway of the intensity of the energy through the entire chakra meridian matrix center, or the nerve ganglia of the spine, from the top, the soul star, to the earth star. And it's a lovely intensification of the entire frequency as a whole. And these guys, at the tip of the spear, if you would be Tibetan black quartz. Tibetan black quartz comes from Tibet, a place in the world that's had thousands of years of dedicated high-frequency spiritual practice grounded in the region, which may be one of the contributing factors to its potent ohm source resonant frequency that these guys emanate by themselves, not to mention in a closed loop broadcast, as well as they work as a lovely point to get the focus of the energy through the focalizers, is what they're designed to do on this construct. So, Tibetan black quartz is much akin frequency-wise to smoky quartz in the capacity to rapidly ground energy into the earth, but yet simultaneously has a very rather dramatic third eye, crown, soul star, chakra connotation all the way back to the emanations of Source, or the Godhead of their highest self template. So that simultaneous engagement makes a very powerful full light body stimulation and purification filter through an ohm frequency filter. So you can think of it as almost like a force field of positive energy that's very much the ohm alignment of creation. So there's many contributing factors, as well as they suppose that this black ray inclusion here be carbon based, yet from what I've gathered, scientific mainstream analysis of this stone is still quite inconclusive what the black stuff actually is. So I obviously find that quite fascinating, that this element is quite unquantified technically due to its high frequency nature. It is definitely a aspect worth notoriety and a wonderment in the mineral kingdom. So that'd be of course, take the focus of the energy, run it through a condenser, and design to make a very successful broadcast, and take all the excess energy of the figure eight and give it a focus. Long story short. Okay, so this aspect I oftentimes wait till last to describe because it has a bigger picture connotation. We'll be discussing the selenites now. So selenite by itself is a lovely gypsum-based white ray frequency that strongly stimulates the 6th, 7th, 8th, all the non-physical chakras to the Godhead or their higher self configuration. So you can think of it as a very strong higher self linker, as well as clearing any densities to the field from top to bottom. Very nice high frequency stone. Yet, what makes it quite critical for any functional spirit tool that passes through my hands into distribution is this certain fact of this trifecta. Selenite will take the entire aforementioned frequencies, it will purify them, it will also amplify all of them in tandem, then it will also harmonize them. So with the trifecta of purification, amplification, harmonization is a tremendous boon to get the most out of any given sequence of crystalline ignition stones, for example, and get the most vibrationally out of them while keeping it pure, harmonized, and accelerated together. That's pretty amazing. And that's exactly why the kyanites are also mounted to this neutral part of the selenite as the amplification, purification, acceleration of this entire device. So kyanites are perhaps the quickest reactive bridgers of energy in the mineral kingdom. It is actually quite impossible for them to retain negativity due to their natural high yield transference ratio. So by having the purification of selenite with the amplification transference of kyanite is rather advantageous in the 4 spectrums easily available to me, consisting of black kyanite, which rapidly grounds all energy through the base into the earth stars, orange kyanite, which bridges the sacrum to the highest source configuration, creativity, green kyanite, which rapidly bridges the heart chakra to the highest configuration, particularly source and 2 others, and makes a lovely insulation of one's ideal green ray space. Then into blue kyanite, which rapidly bridges the higher mind centers or psychic abilities or cities into the highest capacity, as well as neural pathway reestablishment of the right and left hemispheres in perfect tandem unison, aka the awakened third eye. So, when you take all 4 of these spectrums in tandem, it makes another aspect of etheric Teflon to rapidly buffer and diffuse and auto-regulate to the highest configuration at any given moment, making another situationally reactive construct. And another aspect, too, of the insurance of the transferability of the healing energy, whether it be for personal wielding, for example, on the heart. And yes, this is my lovely, lovely vest. Actually, it was a birthday present from the recipient of this device, so obviously I do a little shout out. So then, of course, the kyanites make a very powerful transference of the energy through the focalizers of the entire figure 8 closed loop broadcast into a discharge for a successful vibratory induction or broadcast of magic. So that'd be enough about that. And at the very apex of the blade band itself is a lovely specimen of Iceland spar clear calcite, which is much like quartz, a very neutral programmable carrier, yet calcite makes a lovely clearing spectrum, which since it's clear calcite, it is the 7 rays diffuse, which actually clears the entire 7 rays in tandem. So a lovely stone of a fresh start that would be, of course, deserving of the archetypal connotation of deliverance in itself. Then to further intensify its capacity in tandem next to it would be green calcite. Green calcite is a lovely clearer of any kind of stagnations of the green ray, so obviously it's rather advantageous in tandem with everything discussed thus far. Alrighty, so I believe that would be the entire crystalline structure. That's amazing. Okay, and so this right here, this core of the device, is actually juniper from Sedona, Arizona. Then down here, to make a complementary contact patch from my lovely backyard, is oak. So, by having the energies of Mount Shasta area of oak, was a very powerful place of magic, quite famous for this purpose, hence I'm stationed here. Then the aspect of the lovely power of Sedona. This guy grew up in a vortex, and you can't see it now because it's been sanded into shape, but it comes from one of the vortices that actually grows trees in a spiral to mimic the energy, which is a very, very cool aspect of physical evidence of magical vortices and play in the legendary Sedona Matrix as well. So ideally, by combining those two PowerPoint frequencies of the wood spectrum that, of course, they grew their lives in these two powerful vortice sections of the Earth in one unified construct, is a rather advantageous carbon-based resonance to carry the platform of this entire energy device. Hence, the wood aspect also, of course, naturally grounds into the earth plane because it is the most natural aspect of a sacred one-legged. That is why it's utilized as the core. And yes, that would be actually the entire description. Wow. So in summary, the device deliverance is developed and designed through its crystalline ignition output to be a very prominent, powerful green ray healing, heart-mending device of highest divine providence and synergization with one's highest heart in creation, and is a tremendous green ray concentrated healing device of great potency in a relatively condensed fashion as it was requested from the recipient. So it's another one of those relatively small lightblade wands. Like, for example, this oftentimes is a more full-size lightblade wand to kind of give an idea. So this guy, not quite that big, but it is sure jam-packed and mighty and quite potent. You could think of it as a very, very potent crystal pistol. So anyhow, that'd be the aspect of the deliverance with its high yield green ray connotation to be a very tremendous heart healer and ideally a core wound healer that would deliver oneself and under jurisdiction assistance of delivering from the core wound playing out in the system and perpetually playing out a pattern that is not of the highest divine synergy that would be interfering the full light body grounding through the physical conscious self. Well, that'd be deliverance. 1,000 blessings. I pray that everybody has a great day. May the force be with us all.